What's going on there, guys? My name is Pone. How you doing today? Oh, I'm fabulous. Thanks for asking. Anyways, I want to kind of talk to you guys about why I think Medal of Honor should return. Not only from a business standpoint, from a player standpoint, and why I think there is a growing need for a game like this, and I want to talk about that in this video. So, first things first, this is Medal of Honor 2010 gameplay. I'm using the 870. And if you didn't know, I do believe that DICE actually developed the multiplayer on this game in 6 months. So the maps, the streaks, everything about this, from what I researched way back when I talked about this game, was it was actually developed by our DICE, Battlefield DICE. But I may be wrong, I may be incorrect, but I'm almost confident that I remember researching that a long time ago. And they did it in a 6-month window, and it was a pretty solid game for that. The only real flaw was that the snipers were overpowered on release, and it was like a one-shot kill, and it ruined the game because it's all people would use, and they were extremely easy to use. So, because this was in fact a reboot, people were like, oh no, is this how the game's going to be done? So they just didn't give it a chance, because it did eventually get patched and turned out to be a pretty solid game. And I too also backed Medal of Honor Warfighter. That was one of my favorite games. I wanted to keep posting that. If I had my way, I would have been posting it all the way up till now. But sadly, about a month in, the game just became inactive for normal regular core. There were hardcore servers everywhere, and there was always like this one Australian server that was open for regular core. But if there's no servers for me to play on, I can't post the game. And I tuned back into it for a couple weeks, and it was just never there. It was impossible for me to record, so I just actually had to terminate it. But my reason for saying this is because there is a need for a game like this. And I think they had it right. The formula was there. They had success at their fingertips, but because sales were not there, they just departed it. They just, at the end of the day, they said because of the Medal of Honor Warfighter launch, they were not going to continue doing it. It doesn't mean it's dead entirely, but it's just not a priority no longer. So they started venturing in to find something else. And this is where my whole theory with this whole rumored Battlefield Police came in, is I have a feeling that Medal of Honor is going to return, but with just a different name. And with the backing of the Battlefield name, they're going to basically make another one of these. I have a feeling that they're going to make another one of these, but just call it Battlefield Police or Battlefield Close Quarters or something like that. So I'm not too worried, because the reason that there's a need for this game is because COD is kind of dwindling. It's losing its fan base, it's losing its potency. People are becoming disappointed with Ghost being such a flop. It was a wide open door for Battlefield 4 to triumph, but it had a really rocky launch, and it still to this day is bugged to hell. So what we need is a game like this. A fan or not of Call of Duty, they have a really successful formula that keeps people coming back every year. And most of that is to be attributed to the fact that they have kill streaks. There's something rewarding about in-game success. If you go on a streak and you get like a cool streak for it or something like that, makes you feel good that you did something awesome. You get that nuke or that Harrier or that Apache or whatever you want in there. It makes you feel like you did good. It's rewarding, and then it allows you to pummel the other team into the ground even harder. And believe it or not, that feels good to get that. That's not something you get from Battlefield. Now, I'm not saying I want to see streaks and stuff like that in Battlefield. Not at all. Battlefield, in fact, has streaks on the map. They're called jets and tanks, so it has no need for it. But I would like to see something that looks like Battlefield, something built on the Frostbite, that feels like Battlefield, has the customization of Battlefield. Get rid of the stupid shit from COD, like the perks and the marathon, the dead streaks. And that was one of the things that I hated from Medal of Honor Warfighter, is they started trying to bring in the modern types of armor and explosives, and they put I think they were called like PDM 66s or something, the spider grenades. And those were just like not necessary for a game. And that's how I've always felt about certain things. Oh, let's put noob tubes in the game. Yeah, we may have those in real life, but do they really belong in a video game? I don't know. That's just how I feel. You don't need something like that in close quarters at all. So I like the original Medal of Honor because they had it simple. There were smoke grenades and there were frag grenades. Sadly, you couldn't choose where you wanted them or anything like that. So if they actually adopted the Battlefield customization, put it into a Medal of Honor game, just ignored the fact that there were perks and stuff like that in Call of Duty, but brought in pretty awesome streaks. It was awesome because the way their streaks worked, unlike Call of Duty, is you don't pick the streaks you wanted or anything like that, which would be okay if they did it, but they had support and offensive streaks. You could push one button and you can call in a UAV or match ammo for your team or vests or something like that for additional support and defense. Or you could go destructive and call in a mortar strike or something like that. So in the end, I thought they had a pretty good balance right there. And of course, if it was down to it, everybody would always use the attack streaks. But sadly, the UAV was almost always one of the best things to use because it also built your point streak up to the next streak much more effectively than some of the others would. So I thought that there is a really, really solid backing for this game, but a lot of people didn't give it a chance. And that was disappointing to me because, like I said, it had part of the formula that Call of Duty had. And some of the stuff they didn't have is a good thing. I'm glad they didn't have kind of the crazy streaks or anything like that. But I will always think that there's going to be an audience for that. Something in-game is rewarding for the same reason people play games and farm like ridiculous on Diablo or something like that. May not be your type of game, but people love to play the game for the gamble, for the rewards. They want to do that to get a legendary and roll it and hopefully get a good drop. You know, something about certain games is rewarding, and you do the grinding, you do the playing, you do the stuff, you deal with bullshit because you want to have that one moment where you just blow everything up and do some awesome things and have that momentum. So there's always going to be that kind of thing. Without that kind of stuff in Call of Duty would be nothing. Their customization is nothing special. Blacklight Retribution poops all over that game. So if you were to able to not only incorporate a properly built, structured streak system, point system like they had in Medal of Honor, bring in your standard customization and standard weapons, get rid of the dumb bullshit like mines for close quarters and noob tubes, and just kept it standard grenades, maybe even Simtex if we want to go flashy woo-woo. But they had something going good, and believe it or not, there's a good market for it. Call of Duty is successful for a reason. And, you know, they had a chance to dive into that, but they gave up on it too quickly. And that's just how I feel about it. So tell me what you guys think down below. Do you think there is room for it? Whether or not you're a fan of Call of Duty or not. I mean, if it was wrapped and it looked like a Battlefield game, maybe conquest-sized maps, because COD is strictly 9v9 max. That's ground war. That's 18 people. Now, if they amplified the size of the maps, maybe gave us something like Grand Bazaar and did 32 players or even 64-man, had potential dirt bikes or ATVs to drive around in-game, which you don't need tanks or anything like that because then that is Battlefield. But transport, I think that there is a strong chance that that game could be extremely successful. So that's how I feel. That's how I think. I think the game had a lot of possibilities, a lot of promise, and it was sad because it didn't have the backing or the promotion that it deserved. But that's just how I stand. I also feel that that rumored year-to-year Battlefield title is coming out is they're just going to repurpose, repackage this game, and just put the Battlefield name on it for additional support and sales. But anyways, that is how I feel. Let me know what you guys think down below. Leave a comment. Smash that like button. It always helps out the channel. And I will catch you guys with another video tomorrow. Stay moist, ladies and gentlemen.